Hello, everybody. So, hi, Bob. I've got Bob from Akashic Attunement, and he brought. Are you a ET? Are you an alien? Are you a? And this is Ursula, and she will. Well, let's start with the guest first, if we could, Bob. And Ursula, why don't you talk about who you are, what you do, and we'll leave it like that.
Okay, so my name is Ursula O'Farrell, and I'm a good buddy of Bob's, and he's helping me in this year of 2022 come out of my art studio and start sharing my story, because I am a consummate consumer of all things galactic and metaphysical. So I've been on this path most of my life because I've had some extraordinary experiences. But this is my coming out party, so thank you, Bob. I'm a little nervous. So I had to put a little makeup on and bring out the rainbow. But I did choose this painting that I created because it's a unity star. So I'm working with sacred geometry and color. And as we start talking about the galactic, I like to have people think of vibrational resonance. So as humans, we carry a certain resonance. And then if you're off planet, extraterrestrial, you might carry a different vibration. And if you're in the planet, like inner Earth, you're carrying another frequency. So as we open the conversation about going galactic, I brought this rainbow light body with me. So hi, everybody.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. And I love your rainbow light body.
Well,
yeah, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I think the reference
and
was
Bob
to the
has brought his rainbow light body, and thank you, Bob. So for the people who may not know who you are, and I am such a bad host because I haven't done this in previous videos, but a little bit about you, Bob, please.
Well, many know me and associate me
Yes.
with the Akashic records, of course, and I love being able to provide readings to people and to explore their records with them. And professionally, I'm on a different path, and so I'm walking between worlds. But I've been doing the records for about 15 years or so, and I really enjoy it. Hopefully, information that can come forward can empower people to move forward within their paths. And it was actually, I met Ursula actually during a reading. And as it turns out, we were at the same place at the same time a long, long time ago. So,
like tens of thousands of years ago. Okay.
Like about 10,000 years ago. And so we kind of, we began to form a conversation and a relationship. And I think that was kind of the subject matter to begin with. And then as our conversations evolved, Ursula went galactic really quickly. And in the process, she pulled me forward with her. And so it's been a wonderful journey. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I would never have met Bob without Lilac Lantern. So, and then Nancy Jean. So yeah. This whole little family with Danny, Andrea, and Nancy Jean has been quite stunning. So we find each other like soul groups.
Yeah, right. And I think this whole YouTube community, when you get to know them, we are so powerful. It's just not the people who decide to put up a channel, but there are so many that are just doing incredible work and keeping their vibrations high. It's just phenomenal. So it's a great group. Welcome to the group, Ursula. And so what Bob was saying about starting a journey. So I was thinking about why I was even doing this ET show, and what it is. It's about my journey waking up to there are galactic beings around me. when I first heard of it, I was a little shocked. I go, okay, you're a little crazy. Who's ever telling me this? And I hear her laughing in my head right now. And I said, but I've got a reading with Bob in like a week. So I'm going to go ask Bob. And then Bob confirmed that the crazy lady that told me this wasn't crazy. And that there are, in fact, I do have some of that in my past history. So I thought it was really fascinating. And then he told me about Mount Shasta. I was going there anywhere, and he hooks me up with Lee Carroll and the Palladian Summit. And it just followed this progression. So today, I think where I want to go with this, starting with whoever wants to talk, is we were talking before about ETs and aliens and labels, and I call them galactic beings, just not to offend anybody's labeling of them. And then Bob said something that I thought was really good. What's the difference between an alien and an ET?
Well, I guess it goes back a little bit in terms of, it goes back to genetics. Who are we genetically? And as many people know, if I were to talk about the Lyrans or the Vegans or the Palladians, Syrians or Arcturians, I would consider these people to be our genetic ancestors. And when the Palladians colonized Lemuria, they genetically seeded the original humans there. So maybe I would consider, they're really our ancestors. And at one point in time, we were them, so to speak. In ET, however, there's thousands of races within our galaxy. If we were to back up a step and we looked at the physics of our galaxy, it's similar. So if I were to move out into the galaxy, gravity would be the same, the physics would be the same, the chemistry, the biochemistry would be the same. And so life naturally would form. And those star systems that were binary, life would start a little bit earlier than in our system. And astronomers have said that the binary star systems, there's more of them than there are, this a single solar system that we have, or single star. And so it's reasonable that other races developed earlier than we did. And
Sure.
And so an ET might be a person that is not on the same genetic thread. That's what I would say.
Okay. And you said something about a soul that, let me see if I have this right. Is an alien, are we related to ETs or aliens?
Well, I wouldn't.
It doesn't matter.
I wouldn't create the label, and I wouldn't create the distinction. Okay.
Okay.
And so I would just say that, the Lyrans, Vegans, Palladians, Syrians, Arcturians are soul-based as we are. And so that's the common denominator. There are humanoids. There's humanoids that are more intelligent, they're logical, they might be more technically advanced, but they would not have the same soul that we do.
And that's a whole series of conversations just in that statement alone. That's very deep. We could just go way into that.
Ursula sent me something this morning, which was it was a response from Cryon to a similar question. And what he noted is that if you consider the abundance of life on our planet, how different it is. Why would that abundance not also be prevalent within our universe, and the differences being there? And that resonates with me.
Sure. Just this morning, I was outside and saying my prayers, and I look up and I see this. And Ursula and I were talking about orbs the other day because she had a bunch flying around her. And I see this little light and I'm going, oh, it's a reflection in my glasses. And it wasn't. And it was just this teeny thing like an orb, but it was so small and I couldn't make out the features because I have glasses on. And I said, it must be a spider or something. And I did this, I did that, and it went, see ya. And it just took off. And it made me think of the little hidden folk, the little fairy folk that we have on this planet that we don't pay attention to, that we don't see. So why can't we? Why do we think that there are not that abundance of life out there? And there are.
Well, go ahead, Ursula.
Okay, I'll just elbow my way in. So elbow. I know, here comes the little sharp elbow. So what comes up for me is, since you asked, back to the day of Christopher Columbus, remember? They thought the world was flat. And so
it's not?
If you, oh, that's right. Well, let's just go with the story. These are stories.
Okay.
So we've gone, according to Cryon, this age of 2012, when we hit that marker, it's like we're going to look back and see before 2012 as the darker ages. It's like, remember like the Renaissance 500 years ago? They went from the medieval dark, you kill me, I kill you, to the Renaissance where artistry and civility kind of came in. We're in that same kind of window of time when you start looking at the tea leaves of astrology, cosmology. So we're in this photon belt. I know you're listening to Pam Gregory. So the photon belt for our whole solar system is having us see what Cryon said, whatever has already been there is going to be made manifest. So you're going to start seeing things that we thought we saw, but now our multidimensional senses, for those of us who choose to be aware, they're coming online. Right. And that's not to be afraid. It's just we're all in this evolutionary process. And so you can either greet this human evolutionary process with love and great, show me more. Or you have the choice to hear no evil, see no evil. Let me just stay and think about why aren't things the way they were 2 years ago before COVID?
Yeah.
So we have it's what I would say a choice point. So whether you say ET or alien, it's more about, will you be ready to step into seeing yourself, reframing yourself as not a victim, but as a solar light being?
That's awesome. And there's so many people that are feeling this shift and feeling this energetic movement towards something that is way better than what we have experienced. But just last night, I'm looking back at an Egyptian power plant that's all about sound and tuning fork things. And I'm going, that's what you're talking about, using the past, coming up and saying, well, we're still, even though things happened in the past, we're refining them for the future, and we're awakening to certain things that happened in the past that could be star being driven, and we're waking up to it again in this time frame. At least that's what I'm sensing.
Yeah, and going back to Atlantis or Lemuria, they were influenced by, their ancestors. I mean, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians were actively involved in those cultures at times. And despite best intentions, things went wrong. Mm-hmm. And so then they began to separate more so. But you're right. And the new energy, what's happening is that certainly with the light workers and the old souls and those who choose, their awareness is expanding. And as their awareness is expanding, they're moving forward in terms of their vibration. And so you're going to be perceiving beings that exist on higher dimensional levels. So you're going to not only you're going to magnetize yourself to the orbs, as Ursula does,
You do,
and
Robert.
you're
And now,
going
Danny, we shook him off and sent him his way.
Yeah.
Well, we do that. I mean, I chatted with Ursula last week, and there was a party over there where she was in terms of
He
the
likes the rainbow and the. If I could just say, look at this amazing book that's coming up. Oh, for any of your listeners who want to go more galactic and not be afraid, get smarter and just say, okay, let me engage and see what's going on. This is a great heritage book by Lissa Royal Holt. And so you might hear of Debbie Solaris's name, who's another one talking about galactic, but she bases her findings on the prism of Lyra. So in this book, you're going to see that we're just not in this petri dish, but there's a bigger plan, a bigger evolution that we've been part of. And the big cosmic joke is the things that we think we're afraid of are our ancestors, as Bob has said. Or even, we talk about multiple timelines parallel, it's like, oh my God, it's mind blowing, but it helps us see ourselves very differently.
Very differently, right.
Well, yeah, it frames the picture much differently, but then also there's the whole notion of, let's say, for example, you were a Lyran or a Vegan or a Palladian. What does that mean in terms of your attributes right now? So what moved forward in terms of our DNA? Or what was the history of that particular, in terms of the history of the galaxy, what trauma might have been, you experienced back then? Does that carry forward? Were there characteristics of that particular race? If the Lyrans and Vegans are open-hearted and loving people, that might be something that you share now. You might choose life lessons that would say you might experience betrayal. And so you might need to learn to be discerning and that type of a thing. So it influences. So
getting your readings, Bob, really helps. Now that you've gone galactic too, the Akash of the earth of Gaia is definitely, held in that cave of creation, or it's earth-based, but seeing earth as part of this nesting, this matrix of other planets, other solar systems, other galaxies. It's a bigger, you just see what the little tiny speck we truly are in the greater cosmos. But Bob's readings now, they do help you learn those 10 life lessons. I loved what you shared recently with Andrea, Bob, and for anyone who hasn't listened, those 10 life lessons could have begun as a Lyran, learning how to have boundaries. And if you don't have boundaries, if you haven't learned it from then, it kind of perpetuates. But some of the lessons we're learning as humans really have this parallel resonance of how do I not embrace victimhood? How do I self-love and self-care? This is not just new to Earth. These are patterns and lessons that you're going to find in Lissa's work. And by the way, oh, look, she's got a second book. Wisdom. I'm like a bookseller, right? I mean, I have so many spiritual books. I just love sharing because I've read a lot and she is the real deal. And then, as I told you yesterday, Danny, her galactic heritage cards, if you want to get super galactic and play with the tea leaves, that's the deck to get.
There it is.
I'm a shopper, if you want to keep it real, beep, beep, go buy some books and some deck cards. So. And one last thing to your question about aliens and ETs, this idea of extraterrestrial, I looked up the definition of or from outside the Earth's atmosphere. But you went to Mount Shasta, and you know what, Danny? There's not only ETs outside and on planet, they're in the Earth.
Inside.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not extraterrestrial, that's inner Earth beings. And then you work with Drunvalo Melchizedek's, his teachings, and you find out there's plasma beings. What? So there's a whole vast array of inner Earth, on Earth, and then off planet. it's so we have to reframe. How do we see ourselves?
Right.
So the non-physical Pleiadians would be terrestrials then.
Yeah. I mean, I call myself a subterranean. And we're part of it all. That's the thing. There are these threads with all of our lives together. In some ways, we've experienced it all. We've just forgotten.
Right. And it's all about just opening up to the possibilities. And so for me on my journey, when someone said that I had an ET around me, I'm like, what? But what difference? Why did that surprise me so much when I tap in to the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world? Why it confused me a lot. Why am I surprised that I have,
No. Why are you surprised? Because you're doing card readings, and who do you think's helping you? Or if I said,
no, it's all me,
angel,
all me.
An angel is behind you, not an ET, an angel. Doesn't that feel better? Oh, you've got angels with you. But so it's how do we call that energy? It's an ET.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So for example, if you are an Arcturian and you came in from Arcturus, your guides would likely be Arcturian. These are beings that you shared lifetimes with there. And so you would consider them to be not only your guides, but they would be angelic in nature.
Yes.
So we could.
In fact, Cryon is supposed to be associated with Arcturian energy, this light energy, very evolved galactic beings. And Danny, I'll just offer, if you ever decide to invite me back, if your viewers are interested in their star seeds galactic journey, I did send you a little matrix where you could find yourself. And wouldn't you know, where you began in this galaxy was of the Arcturian nature. So you might see, oh, do I move towards sacred geometry? No. Do I move towards like shamanism, the inner journey of the shaman? That's very Arcturian. Did you know? So it's how do we expand the stories of who we are as we become more galactic citizens? I mean, my God, we're going to the moon and we're going to Mars, looking at pictures of Pluto. Why not step into this galactic citizenship?
Sure. Yeah. And, the thing is, for me, going back to that fear that I don't want to keep getting stuck in, but because of my religious background, as, I went to Catholic schools, I had my knuckles broken by the nuns. I mean, it was that whole thing. And just because it's their story that they're telling doesn't necessarily mean it is the only story that they said. This is the only story. So we're finding right now that there are so many different stories, and the challenge is how to let go of something so we can see something bigger. And, I think I'm doing it pretty well as I go through my day. And then somebody says, you got 3 ETs around you. And I go, what? So it throws me back. And now I'll step forward in this journey. And that journey, that was like 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't it, Bob, when I first got a hold of you? I think 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I can't remember.
I think it would have been about a year ago.
Okay.
But you're right. You're right. We're raised with these different narratives, and the nuns or whoever were your teachers back then. That was their narrative, and there's no judgment about that. But you're expanding. You've raised the lid on the box, and you're moving into a greater reality.
Yeah,
and a greater understanding. So
and
that's what we need to do.
Unlike the nuns too, which here's the dogma, here's the doctrine. Now, if you want to be part of the membership or get communion, you have to believe and act a certain way. That's very Piscean age, right? But we've shifted now into the Aquarian age of working together with soul tribes and teams and networks non-competitively. So what's this new Aquarian age asking us to do? And it's really saying, don't believe the guru, don't believe the priest. God, did I say that? You claim your own authority. You might want to edit that part out. You claim your own authority. You are the guru. So whatever we say, you don't have to take it as true. We're speaking from what we know, our experiences. So when the little orb shows up for you, Danny, you saw it over here, but when it went and traveled to you, you use that, your experiences, to determine how you navigate. Because I want to bring up a very important word, and it's called choice points. We're at a very specific personal, okay, well, maybe choice points. Choice points.
She is so shy. She's having a hard time articulating.
I know. I noticed that.
She sent me a text this morning.
I'm like, oh, and then Robert threw me in the deep end. But I gotta tell you, we're at choice points. You decide. You own it. Like, don't be the victim and say, "Oh, no, they're beating you down, they're hitting you, and I'm feeling like I'm dirty." That's one of the life lessons Bob was talking about. Like, no, own it. So don't believe us. Even you figure out what's true for you. Like, step into that.
Yeah, and we were talking about this. We were talking about this yesterday, but I had to make sure she was worthy of coming on.
I was nervous. I'm like,
I'm like, listen, if Bob says, you should have her on. I'm like, yeah. But
I know she's so nervous, just like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, but this is like a one-off. She's gonna be flying after this. I know. But we were talking about discernment and making sure that it resonates, the message resonates within you as true. And if it doesn't, then just like kind of step back and question it and say, is this right? Because somebody comes and gets a tarot reading from me doesn't necessarily mean that is going to play out in the future. We all have choices to make. And if I say, oh my gosh, you got the death card, I need you to go talk to a lawyer and get your house in order. You're like, what? No, you don't have to. I mean, I would never say that, but just because somebody says something doesn't make it true. It has to resonate within you. I think I will edit that out, by the way. No.
About the priest?
No, about me reading the death card.
Well, doesn't the death card, isn't that interpreted at multiple levels? It could be the end of your career at this point. It's just a transition point.
It's a transition. Yeah. I've never seen it as any kind of physical death by itself. I mean, if there's other cards that support it, I would say you need to pay attention to your health. However, it's just a transition for a new light coming up to you. It may feel bad right now, but look at the light on the horizon. That's what I see it as.
Well,
it's probably an ET.
Or an angel. Your angel.
Yeah.
Well, if I could just say, for anyone listening, I choose to engage with spirit, or that which I can't see, but I want to feel connected. I choose to work with source through painting. That's my portal. So I paint, and then it's like, oh my God, I have this epiphanies that make me cry. Like, oh my God, that's what it's about. Danny, you opened up yourself to source through card readings. Yeah. So, and then Robbie, he opens himself up through, meditation and opening the records. Are you laughing? I like Robbie. So
Bobby.
Well, okay, Ursula.
Ursula,
you are now known forever as Ursula. I just got you back.
I don't think he's gonna have me join him anymore. But to my point, when you say, yes, I have a pathway to engage with source energy, and we're living in this new renaissance of light, I think, this is my theory, that you're more prone to having your multidimensional senses go online. More clairaudience, more clairvoyance, more clairsensory. So I would just say, if you're a listener, someone's doing a little bit of this or that, and they're already saying, okay, that prayer of I'm open to God, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. Just watch the tea leaves, watch the synchronicities line up, watch who shows up, because hello, soul family, here we are.
Yeah,
How can we
right.
help each other?
Right.
That was my little rant.
That's pretty good.
Thank you, Ursi.
I feel, yeah, Ursi, that was,
You already got Annie, so we can't really go.
Yeah.
so,
Starman Annie.
but that's my name, Robert. Robert. I keep flashing back to Robert Plant. Don't call me Bob.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he gets all, again, with the labels, it's like, why do people get so, another rabbit hole we don't want to go down so much here. Hey, Ursi, I do want to ask you about your geometric shape behind you, because you are you are a facilitator of something Robert told me about when I went to Shasta, when I first met him. And that was Stargate.
Yep.
Can you share a little bit about that?
I've got a lot of little bits. Yeah, so.
Well, just a little bit.
Okay, you want it short. Okay, the condensed version. Well, first of all, this image is what's called a 64-point unity star. So this has to do with bringing this idea of resonating unity, so that there's a place for everybody. There's a place for all of me, all of my star beings coming together unified. The Stargate does use a geometric shape, and if you invite me back, I can bring it with me, but it is a physical structure. And for those who aren't familiar in Mount Shasta, just Google the Stargate experience, and they will give you free meditations. They channel Alcazar, which is a collective being very much like Cryon. And so when they do that Summer of Light conference, they got Cryon speaking with Alcazar. And Lee Carroll actually told Prageet Harris, who runs the Stargate experience along with Julianne, said, hey, your machine is talking to me. Like, he could hear messages through this specific geometry, and the geometry was channeled because Prageet beforehand was a construction builder, and he was just guided, okay, turn here, turn here, turn here. And since then, this Stargate experience has gone global because people can feel and connect with their guides. I happen to be a Stargate facilitator when I'm not painting, but there's a whole way of, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping. It's like Dumbo holding the feather. Like, I can fly if I hold the feather. So for those of you who think, I need something to hold on to for me to connect with spirit or source, well, the Stargate, all you need is a picture of it, and you can meditate and just see what comes through with their guided meditations.
And, I think that there is, there's some, there's a lot of truth to holding on to things for me, because I want to be rooted in the earth, because I'm here. This is what I chose to be on this planet. So when we start traveling away from, we still have to come back to. I find Nancy Jean's crystal grids really powerful to get me to send me off, but then I can still come back. And I like the fact of holding on to something to come back to the earth, to terra firma. So cool. So yeah, and I have checked out the Stargate experience, and the meditations are great. And again, trust your insides, what you feel is right for you. And I go back to them every now and again. There's so much information that we're being shown that it's hard to pick it all.
Very Aquarian, because they're talking about a collective, but it's your unique individual experience. No one's telling you dogma. No one's saying, this is how you do it, or this is the price of membership. No, it's a personal journey. So if you want to up your game and engage with galactic beings, that could be one option.
Absolutely. Awesome. Did you have something you wanted to say, Bob? It seemed like you wanted to jump in there.
Yeah, there is so much, and I have the same experience, whether it's Cryon or Alcazar or whoever. What happens is that I'm also finding new material, a lot more new material as well, and so and it's coming at a faster pace, and so we seem to be kind of on an accelerated timeline here. And so if you choose, like Ursula has said, if you choose, there's a lot out there for you to engage with. So
right. And it feels like to me that even though we're being shown this new material, it's really quite old. We're just seeing it for the first time. And I liken this to going on a trip, like exploring the world. I always want to come home. I love coming home to my house and going, sleeping in my own bed. It's so great. But the journey going to Italy or France or Costa Rica, I mean, I love doing that too, but then again, I want to come home and sleep in my own bed after a while. Some people say, I'm staying down there. I'm staying in Costa Rica or whatever. Or
sure. They liked it. They resonate with it. And if you went to Italy, it would expand your consciousness relative to that culture and your planetary experience. And it's that expansion of consciousness, should we choose to expand it relative to the spiritual nature of our being, that's what vibrationally pulls us forward, and that's what's pulling the earth forward in terms of the shift in consciousness. So it's actually, if we came down here and we knew it all, it would just, all of a sudden, we're not moving earth forward at that moment in time.
Right. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to play that back a couple of times and listen to it.
That's deep wisdom. Well,
one of the things, once you know Ursi for a little while, you'll know that she likes to move into the a childlike state of being, because that child is open. So the child is not biased and judgmental. And that's certainly, that's one way also to move into kind of that higher aspect of yourself. So
that's a key point. I just want to piggyback on that, because, with all our training, we can't go to heaven with our minds. It's really this remembering that it's through the heart, our hearts, moving the 18 inches from this down to your heart chakra, and just going, I just play again. You reach a certain milestone, like I'm almost 60, and I'm like, who am I trying to, why am I trying to learn all this stuff? Let me feel it. Let me play.
Yeah.
And so really it's about remembering. When we go back in time, it's remembering. So when you go to those sacred sites, Danny, you're actually getting downloads you wouldn't get where you are. But play, like, remember what it was like to be a child on a playground again. We're not in the classroom like, wah, wah, wah. It's like, hey, who wants to play on the swing? To feel being on Earth is so valuable if we remember how amazing it is. The ocean, the mountains, the forest. You come up here to the big basin. So it's like, whoa, it is a miracle of so many different organisms. But I will say, if an ET craft happens to show up, the thing that some of the conversation is saying is, what you don't want to do is, you don't want to prostrate yourself and say, oh, let me give my power over to you. No, I just say, hey, I want to see you, or I don't want to see you. You have control. And so it's like, yes, be the child, but also know you create your protective field of like what you want in and what you don't want in, but don't give your
Mhm.
power away, because what fun would that be? Like, the kid
Right.
only knows what it knows. And so just be yourself, because who else can you really be at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I would piggyback onto that you don't have to necessarily try to structure or order where they are in the greater scheme of things in the moment. So for example, maybe they are an Andromedan. Well, who are they relative to the galaxy? And where are they in terms of our interest? You don't have to, at the moment, you don't have to try to figure that out. You can just experience.
Thank you for that, because that's where
analyzing it.
Yeah. So thank you for that, because that's where I was earlier this week, going, well, where's the structure? Where's that? Where's this? Trying to put it in some kind of neat box order so I can maybe make sense of all of this. And
it has to be, it has to be a happy medium.
Right. Right.
So I think that's why I'm between Ursi and Danny.
I'm gonna show that sock.
Ursi.
Oh my God.
Well, I know
So
I'm not offending Ursi because she identifies with that as a child. So
yeah.
But look how galactic you are sounding, Robbie. Oh, you love Andromeda, Arcturian, Lyran. I mean, I love it because you've just stepped right in so seamlessly, because you see it perhaps as energy and ancestry.
Well, the Andromedan galaxy is going to collide with ours in 4 billion years. So
oh no!
We better start to pay attention. This better be on your horizon.
Well, let's be afraid.
I need to go talk to my lawyer and make sure I have everything in order. 4 billion.
Got the death card, Danny.
That's a
Starman thing.
That's a Starman death card. Do you have your deck with you?
We need it.
Yeah, I do. And I'm not. I don't know. Will the death card come out? No, it'll probably be the sun card.
Oh, well, there's that sock. Show us your sock.
It's not a sock.
You have to show your viewers your death card deck, Danny.
Okay.
Or your Starman deck.
So this is my Starman deck, and let me see, that's my Starman poster. So this is the Starman deck that it was an impulse buy when I was thinking about this ET Week show, and I go to this bookstore down the street and they had Starman in there, and I went, oh my God. And it was David Bowie, the artwork, the guy who did the artwork for David Bowie did this. And so I said, well, I got to pull it up. And I'll just show you a few that are amazing. So the first card that I pulled was the Empress. And you can see the detail on here. It's really hard to throw this down and intuitively read, or even throw it up in front of this screen, because there's so much going on with it. And then we have that image too. And that's the 9 of Princess of Wands. I'm going, where's the wand? It's even hard to see. But the artwork is phenomenal. So I didn't get any, I got the Empress. This is the first card, creating something new, being Gaia, being the Empress of our lives, of where we want to go, knowing that we can create anything, and we probably are right in the middle of creating something with this Empress card. So final thoughts on and the question that I wanted answer for me, and that I think other people do, there are some people that are so far advanced, they're like Ursi. right? And they're way up there in their knowledge and understanding and where they want to go. And then there are some people that are opening their eyes to this, like I did last year, and the synchronicities keep coming and coming. What, in whatever level you want to talk to, what extra information, what final information for this segment do you want to share? We'll go with the guest first, Ursi.
Okay, so if I had to do the closing soundbite, it would be own your own inner authority. Don't let anyone tell you what to believe. Feel it and experience yourself. Don't be afraid of the word ET or alien. Let yourself engage with the possibilities, though, of a new narrative coming in, or many narratives. But the wisdom is really coming from us remembering our past. It's in the indigenous stories. So my blessing would be keep your heart open, and what resonates within the heart, maybe really consider playing with that. Start there.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Bobby?
Yeah, I would, my theme would be similar, simply Robbie. Robbie.
Robbie.
Robbie.
The openness, you know, perhaps consider that you might be older than Earth. So if you're very rooted in Earth, that's great from one perspective. But imagine that you were here before the Earth even existed. So
That's big. That's big. Well, I want to thank you guys so, so much. Ursula, it's been a pleasure meeting you. It's been awesome. And you have been good enough, so we will have you back for sure.
I better start prepping now.
Get the nerves out. And Bob, thank you so much. It's such a joy to meet you and to have readings from you. They're awesome. I will put your contact information down below if you guys are okay with that. And yeah, so this has been great.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure to be here with you.